History remembers kings and queens as powerful figures. But what if I told you that behind crowns and palaces, there were secrets so dark they were buried for centuries? This is not the history you were taught in school. This is the story of betrayal, fear, forbidden love, and a dynasty that ruled England with blood and ambition. Welcome to Voice of History. Today we uncover the mysteries of the Tudor Dynasty.
History often presents kings and queens as figures of glory, strength, and honor. Their portraits hang proudly in museums, their names are carved into monuments, and their stories are taught as symbols of national greatness. But history, as we know it, is often written by those who survived, not by those who suffered. Behind the golden crowns and magnificent palaces of England's Tudor dynasty lies a darker truth, a truth filled with fear, betrayal, secret executions, broken families, and mysteries that still refuse to be solved even after 5 centuries. The Tudor dynasty ruled England from the late 15th century to the early 17th century, a period that changed Britain forever. It was an age of religious revolution, royal paranoia, ruthless ambition, and unimaginable cruelty. Power was everything, and mercy was rare. This is not the polished version of Tudor history. This is the hidden story. This is the truth behind the throne. The Tudor story begins in blood. In 1485, England was exhausted after decades of civil war known as the Wars of the Roses. Noble families slaughtered one another for control of the crown, leaving the nation weak, divided, and desperate for stability. Into this chaos stepped a man with a fragile claim to the throne, Henry Tudor. Henry Tudor defeated King Richard III at the Battle of Bosworth Field and crowned himself Henry VII. On the surface, he appeared to be England's savior. In reality, he was a man consumed by fear. Henry VII knew his claim to the throne was weak. He trusted no one. He believed enemies surrounded him, even within his own court. As a result, England became a kingdom ruled by spies, informants, and silent executions. Noble families were watched constantly. A careless word could mean imprisonment. A rumor could mean death. Henry VII built the foundation of Tudor power not through love, but through control. He married strategically, punished ruthlessly, and accumulated wealth obsessively. By the time he died, England was financially stable, but emotionally scarred. His son would take that fear and turn it into terror. Henry VIII is perhaps the most infamous king in British history. Strong, charismatic, and intelligent in his youth, he was admired across Europe, but absolute power slowly destroyed him. Henry VIII did not simply rule England, he dominated it. His greatest obsession was not war or politics, but legacy. He desperately wanted a male heir. And for that desire, England paid a terrible price. Henry VIII married 6 times. 2 of his wives were executed. 1 was discarded. 1 died mysteriously. Each marriage was driven by fear. Fear of extinction, fear of weakness, fear of losing power. Catherine of Aragon, his first wife, failed to produce a surviving son. Henry blamed her, not fate. When the Catholic Church refused to grant him a divorce, Henry did the unthinkable. He broke England away from Rome, created the Church of England, and declared himself its supreme head, all to marry another woman. That woman was Anne Boleyn. Anne Boleyn was intelligent, ambitious, and outspoken, dangerous qualities for a woman in Tudor England. She became queen, but her position was never safe. When she failed to give Henry a son, the king turned against her, and was accused of adultery, incest, and witchcraft. The evidence was weak, the witnesses unreliable. Most historians today agree that Anne Boleyn was innocent. Her true crime was disappointing the king. She was executed in 1536. Her head was severed with a single sword stroke. Henry reportedly showed no emotion. Jane Seymour, Henry's third wife, finally gave him a male heir, Edward. Days later, she died. Officially, it was from childbirth complications. Unofficially, rumors spread of neglect, infection, and silence imposed by fear. As Henry aged, his personality darkened. Injuries, illness, and obesity transformed him into a paranoid tyrant. He ordered executions without trial. Friends became enemies overnight. Advisors disappeared quietly. England lived under constant tension. Henry VIII died in 1547. Feared more than mourned. His son, Edward VI, was only 9 years old when he became king, too young to rule. England fell into the hands of power-hungry regents. Religious extremism intensified. Political manipulation flourished. Edward was sickly throughout his short life. At 15, he died. Official cause: tuberculosis. But whispers of poisoning followed his death. No investigation ever proved the truth. Edward's death opened the door to one of England's darkest rulers, Mary I, known to history as Bloody Mary. Determined to restore Catholicism, Mary unleashed terror upon her own people. Over 300 Protestants were burned alive. Smoke from executions filled English streets. Fear ruled the nation. Mary believed violence was divine justice. History remembers her as merciless and alone. She died childless, unloved, and broken. Then came Elizabeth. The first Elizabeth was the daughter of Anne Boleyn, the woman Henry VIII executed. From childhood, Elizabeth learned that survival required silence, intelligence, and restraint. As queen, Elizabeth never married. She called herself the Virgin Queen. Why? Historians still debate the truth. Some believe she feared losing power. Others believe she was emotionally scarred by her childhood. There are even rumors, unproven, but persistent, that Elizabeth secretly bore a child and hid the truth forever. Elizabeth ruled wisely. England prospered. Art, exploration, and literature flourished. Yet behind her composed image was a woman haunted by fear. Fear of betrayal. Fear of assassination. Fear of becoming like her father. When Elizabeth died in 1603, the Tudor Dynasty ended. But its secrets did not. The princes in the tower vanished without explanation. Royal documents disappeared. Confessions were destroyed. Truths were buried beneath stone and silence. Even today, historians argue over what truly happened inside Tudor palaces. Some mysteries may never be solved. And perhaps that is exactly how the Tudors intended it. Because the greatest power is not force, it is control over the story. This was the Tudor Dynasty. A dynasty built on blood, sustained by fear, and remembered through secrets. And this is the voice of history.